From Twinkie Hunk to Short Stack Femboy, fan favorite Decepticon Knockout returns in Legacy. But with him comes one big problem that Hasbro needs to solve before Legacy Evolution. Welcome back to the show, it's Gay for Me. Knockout's vehicle mode is a slick, dark red sports car with sinister blacked out windows and headlights, and an eye-catching electric geometric pattern that transitions from the bright silver of the front bumper to a metallic burgundy at the rear fender. And you know my man's got the gold rims though. That shit ain't factory standard. It might be hard to tell, especially in this mode, but Knockout is actually an extremely extensive retool of Studio Series 86 Jazz, revamping nearly the entire figure. The new vehicle mode is instantly recognizable as Knockout, without looking too anachronistic to the G1 era, but while having a slightly more modern edge than his fellow Prime Universe transplants, as evidenced by the designer notes detailing the influence taken from 90s era sports cars. This dude got pussy lining up out the dough. He ain't won any of it. Next to Alita, Knockout was easily my most anticipated Wave 2 Deluxe. If only for this vehicle mode, it's fitting that the car mode looks so stylish, given that it's Knockout's pride and joy in the show.
Hey, watch the paint!
Introduced in 2010's Transformers Prime, this version of Knockout wiggled his way into our hearts thanks to a condescending and sassy performance by the late, great Darren Norris, who is still alive.
I'm not only an automobile, I'm an automobile enthusiast.
A flamboyant and vain medic. Whenever Knockout isn't wreaking havoc with his friend/domestic partner Breakdown, he was busy buffing his vehicle chassis to a glittering shine.
Yes, right, you're one of those.
Come again.
The only pastime he enjoyed more than flushing out Breakdown's exhaust port or performing circumcisions. I think my main issue with this mode is that it's extremely panely. It's very noticeable at the rear, where all the parts just don't line up quite well. Elsewhere on the car, there's a lot of nonsensical panel separation slicing through many of the details, especially on the hood, where there's also this big ugly seam line traveling straight down the central axis of the car. Knockout's weapons can attach to the rear fenders or on his roof in this mode. They are a small energon shield and a gun with a suggestively long barrel. Get your minds out of the gutter. They can combine into a spear reminiscent of Knockout's signature cattle prod, and despite Mark's best efforts to remind us that we are in fact supposed to play with and combine the Legacy Energon weapons together, the connector on the handle is a peg with a little nub stuck to it, so actually it's only compatible with the included spear tip. Hasbro dead ass said Adam and Eve, not Jimmy and Chaz.
Does that look right to you?
In robot mode, it becomes a lot more obvious that Knockout is a partial of Studio Series Jazz. More of their shared parts are clearly visible, but with a copious amount of new parts too, such as the lower arms, the thighs, and of course the new chest. The cable management is very clean, and it's accomplished by the backpack performing an intricate dance of shifting panels that neatly pack away the rear window and doors. The rest of the transformation is straightforward while having some unorthodox moves, such as rotating the stomach into place and the wheels completely inverting to deploy the arms. His articulation is fine, but it's not great. And since his arms are so short and he doesn't have any wrists, he really can't utilize his spear to its fullest extent. Oh, but you better believe this dude lives on his knees. He just like my sister, for real. They don't tab into place very well, so bending his knees will invariably dislocate them from his lower legs. But is it a feature? Detaching his knees in this way gives Knockout a convenient second knee joint, handily increasing his range of motion. I guess I'll leave that up to you to decide, but something else that I should definitely mention is that his feet aren't flat, and that tends to make him a little unstable. He's not particularly fun to pose is what I'm trying to say. Unlike the incredibly photogenic Red Knockout, which is a good figure from that line that I think is worth your time. And you can see my Red Knockout review right here. I just wish they had picked this color palette for Legacy Knockout. Not that I don't like the dark red, but it feels a little too demure for Knockout, who I always picture in this bright candy red. Likewise, his face is quite ugly, and he has these plump JoJo lips, which again feels very un-Knockout-like. He should have a big shit-eating smirk on his face like he's thinking about getting a microfiber rub down by a couple of buff dudes in a parking lot next to an In-N-Out, which leads me directly to my biggest quandary about this figure. He doesn't look much like Knockout, does he? Imagine if you had to write a book report, but you don't own a copy of the book you're supposed to write about, and you can't read. You fucking failed that assignment faster than I failed my bloodline. That's what Knockout's robot mode feels like. It's as if they just slapped Knockout's head on a generic-looking car-based transformer, completely omitting most of the character's unique details. The shoulders, the doors affixed to his arms, and the wheels on his back. Oh, but they got his fucking clown feet though. Like, what are the priorities here? The designers are so concerned with getting these Prime characters to fit in with the roughly G1 aesthetic established by the War for Cybertron line, and they're creating figures that don't exactly resemble resemble the characters except in passing. Prime Universe Bulkhead's reveal was like getting slapped on the tip of your penis with a plastic ruler. It was a huge shock. He destroyed all of our preconceived notions as to what a G1 redesign meant. It made us feel unsafe around God-fearing but incredibly sexy Catholic nuns. I might be mixing this up with my experiences in parochial school. He wasn't a repaint or a head swap. He was a brand new mold, and he didn't look like Prime Bulkhead. But conversely, Prime Universe RC is very clearly designed so the details of her figure match up with the details from her Prime appearance. Most of them. So what exactly is going on? There is an unresolved conflict at play between depicting these characters as G1 versions of the Prime characters, like Knockout and Bulkhead, or as the Prime characters themselves literally placed into a G1 setting, as RC seems to be. They want to have their cake and eat it too, but flying these conflicting ideas under the same flag isn't manifesting into a cohesive vision for this little subgroup. It makes the whole group seem incongruent, and we're just supposed to pretend that a slavish adherence to G1 aesthetic sensibilities is an acceptable blanket concept that we don't need to think too hard about. I shouldn't have to put this much thought into whether my toys look right. I don't want to downplay how great I think the vehicle mode is. There's definitely a touch of inspiration there. I also don't want to dismiss how incredible it is that they can completely overhaul an unrelated figure so that it looks and feels like a brand new toy. But it doesn't feel enough like Knockout. This aesthetic discrepancy between the Prime Universe characters is a somewhat mind-boggling and directionless experiment that I really hope they straighten out before they try to tackle any, say, animated characters. But I guess time may tell sooner rather than later. And if you think I've been too harsh on these Prime Universe figures, maybe you should check out my Legacy Bulkhead review to hear my full thoughts on him. But anyway, that's just my opinions. Please leave yours in the comments below. Bye-bye.
I am not gay. I have relationships with women and sex with men.
And I got news for you. That means you're gay.